Welcome everyone to the Small Ship Cruising Expo. It is going live today. You're able to see us either on Facebook Live or at sscexpo.com. And I'm pleased to say we're kicking off the event today with a dear friend of mine, Craig Satterfield. He is designated as an ECCS from the Cruise Lines International. In English terms, that means he's a cruise scholar, and he's been in the cruise world now 40 plus years since its infancy. He remembers, the Love Boat and even before that. And so he is an author of his book, Confessions from the Cruise Scholar, and he also edits the monthly digital magazine. He's one of the editors of Travel Professional News. He also, and dear to my heart, Craig, you are a lover of classical music. And today, you, sir, are going to be telling us about your fantastic voyage on a river cruise, because you have been on the larger ships much of your career. And if I am correct, this was the first time that you had been on a river cruise. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce you all to Craig Satterfield, and his presentation is Less is More, the Joy of Sailing on Smaller Ships. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Good, good. So, bad technology on my part, but is my screen working properly?
I see you loud and clear, sir.
Yes, sirree. Okay. Hi, everybody. And thanks for getting up and in learning more things about the small cruise industry. As Mitch said, I'm Craig Satterfield. I've been around the cruise industry since 1983. So you're totally right, Mitch. And primarily the big ships. And he said, elite cruise counselor scholar. Well, what does that all mean? Is that an MD, or what the heck is it? Basically, CLIA is the governing body of the cruise industry. And as part of that, we do a lot of training and education to constantly update ourselves about our industry. And there's various levels of proficiency, the top being elite cruise counselor scholar. So I'm very privileged to be one of about 15 people that met that level. And so that's what that's all about. So, taking my old experience and utilizing, my travel experience and sales experience, it's really, been a fantastic career so far. Yes, I did write a book called Confessions from the Cruise Scholar, because I am a cruise scholar, and so it's been received very well. My history has been primarily with the large ships. Actually, the first cruise I ever took back in probably 80 or 79 or somewhere around there was considered a large ship by those days standards. And I think the passenger count was almost 400. Wow. The old Monterey. And that was typical of cruise ships in those days. Today, we actually, Mitch and I just took a little test cruise on the largest capacity ship, which is 6,000. Luckily for us, there were only 1,300 of us on board because we were testing the protocols. So we had a great time. I thought, you know what? Take a good look at this, because you'll never see it again. 1,300 people on a 6,000 passenger ship. But you know what? There are benefits to the big and the smaller ships. What are the benefits of the big ships? Well, if you have a family and you want to find things to do for them, bumper cars or rock climbing or all kinds of sports and roller coasters and all that. I tell you, the big ships have all that stuff, along with name entertainment, dozens and dozens of places, alternative places to eat, basically something to do all the time. I've always said, on a cruise, you can do it all or nothing at all. So if you're a do-it-all kind of person, then yeah, big ships would definitely work. The other thing about the big ships is they pretty well go to classic ports. So, you know, you may find yourself going back to the same ports over and over again, even though, you know, they're always fun and you always find new things to do. There are a lot of big ships out there. They're very well priced and go every week. So it's easy. It's an easy thing to do. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the small ships. My experience with small ships up until recently was, well, the little 400 passenger ship, the Monterey, and some river cruises that I had taken several years ago on the Mississippi, until just recently when I got a chance to sail on the Danube. It was a great experience. I mean, it opened my eyes to the benefits of small ship cruising today. It was 7 nights sailing on the Danube, ending in Budapest. So 160 maximum capacity on this ship. There were 80 of us on there because it was, you know, one of the first cruises that is starting up again in Europe, and no problems. I felt very safe on board, and you know, it was tremendous. But the experience was, there's so much more to it because of the personalized treatment that you get. You feel like one of the family. So basically what I did is I took this 7-night cruise and I expanded it to a 3-week trip to Europe. And Mitch was saying that, you know, I'm a classical music fan, and which is totally true. And I realized once I knew I was going to take this cruise and what the dates were, that I started searching for classical music concerts, maybe in the area. You know, Austria and Germany, there's a lot of music going on in the summertime. And I was hoping that this year they would have it, and they did. So I expanded it out and flew from my home state of Florida, from Orlando to Frankfurt, Germany, nonstop, which was nice. And spent the night there and got on the train, which is a great way to see Europe either before or after your river cruise, to Linz, Austria, and spent a few days there. And I attended something that I had wanted to do my whole adult life, and that is to go to a festival for in honor of an Austrian composer by the name of Anton Bruckner. Bruckner was, or is, famous for his massive, grandiose symphonies. And every year they put on his music, and they finish the week up with one of his symphonies in the big basilica of St. Florian Monastery, where he actually spent most of his life as a young boy, as well as during his composing life, and did a lot of work there, a lot of composing, a lot of performances on the organ in this massive place, to the point where he is now honored by being basically buried under the organ in this very honorable spot, which you can visit. You can go see all this. So here you are in this beautiful, beautiful church or basilica built in the 4th century, and the full symphony orchestra there, and you know, just the acoustics phenomenal. So these are the kinds of things that you can do in combination with a small ship cruise or a river cruise or any cruise, really. But it's definitely a benefit for the smaller and in Europe. Then I went on to Salzburg. You know, everybody knows Salzburg, and they have a 6-week music program there called the Salzburger Festspiele. And so I spent a week there and went to 6 concerts by, you know, well-known, world-class classical musicians, and went around and saw the sights and ate the food and drank the wine, and you know, had a great old time. You know, knowing that during the day I would end up going to a fantastic concert. And then another train trip off to a little town called Vilshofen, right on the river, where you get off the train. I grabbed a short taxi to the beautiful river cruise boat ship. And that's when the service started. From right there, as I got off the taxi, the folks there welcomed me. They actually sanitized my suitcase before they brought it on board and took it to my cabin. And I felt I was home. Immediately met the cruise manager, which is a small ship's version of a cruise director. And on big ships, you probably never see them. You just hear about them on their squawk box. But you actually meet them, and within a day, they know everybody. They know your name, they know where you live, they know what you like, they know all these things. So immediately I felt really comfortable there. One of the other bonuses about the small ship cruising, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, and in my case on the river, was that the shore excursions are included in the cruise fare. So you don't really have to worrying about what to see or what you're missing or any of that. Your big choices really are the amount of energy that you want to put on in the tour. So for example, we had tours for hikers. They hiked up this citadel and saw the castle on top and got to do all these things. And then you have the kind of in the middle, which is where most people would be. They did some walking and touring and pretty fairly active. I did those, and then I also tried the lighter version, where they took it a little bit slower, got to see everything everybody else did. And in the case of Budapest, that was our last port, that group actually did the busing as part of the tour, the first part of it, whereas the others did a little bit of walking, and another ones did the hiking. So there's something for everybody as far as their shore excursions are concerned, and they're available in every port. So you can do them. Sometimes they're only in the daytime, and sometimes there's another one in the evening. In one of our ports, we had a wonderful wine tasting. We went after dinner. We just walked across the way and went into a wonderful place and tried the local wines, and all complimentary, all part of the deal, and walked back. And some of us went on to bed, and others hung out in the bar and talked some more until wee in the night. So those are the kinds of things in terms of value for dollar. Of course, the scenery is phenomenal. If you're taking a bus tour or car or whatever, you can see these beautiful cities and see the river go by, which is very scenic, but there's nothing like cruising along the way and seeing the little castles and the farms and the whole expanse of what's offered along the river. And it's been there for hundreds and hundreds of years for a reason. The river cruise that I was on has a beautiful sun deck on top there. So you go in, it's expansive. The whole place opens up for you. Plus there's a pool there and a bar. So you can stay up there for hours taking pictures and just taking it all in. And you think, I can't believe I'm here. This is just hard to absorb. You kind of have to take a picture to remember where you were. The other thing that I really thought was fascinating is the technology of the locks on these rivers. When you think of locks, you think of the Panama Canal, the big locks that the big ships go through, but there's little locks and bigger locks along these major rivers. And, there's quite a bit of trade going, whether it's passenger or cargo or anything else that's going on. And you get a chance to experience these locks in different sizes, either throughout the day or the evening. A bunch of us stayed up till like 2 a.m. because we were going through this really big old lock that I guess was the biggest lock on the Danube, and we didn't want to miss it. So we hung out till 2 a.m. and got through the lock safely, and then we all went to bed. So it worked out pretty well there too. When I talked about the big ships, was talking about all like the major talent and the big shows and you know the multiple venues that big ships have. On the smaller ones, or at least on the river ones, not so much. But what they do is they try to fill the gap by bringing on local entertainers, because in a lot of cases the ship is in port later in the evening. For example, in Linz, we had an Austrian group come on board. Very, very cool, lots of fun, very interactive, and just very casual and easygoing. And it was, you know, you'd think, maybe this is corny, but it really wasn't. It was very authentic, and you know, we could appreciate that, because even during the tours, you know, we didn't really have exposure to that, so they made sure we did. So, you know, so they do bring people on board. They also talk about the ports that we're going to, so you don't go in blind. You have a better idea of what is going on in the ports before the tours. Of course, when you're thinking of cruises, you're always thinking of eating and drinking, right? I mean, we do a lot of that. And river cruises and small ship cruises are no exception. They do everything the big ship cruises do, and maybe even a little bit better, because they're catering to a smaller group of people. So it can be even more personalized. The food, you know, had the traditional kinds of dishes that you would normally have or want. And then they would also bring in some of the local dishes for that day, as well as the wines. That's the other thing about the inclusiveness is the wines, that you really don't have a bar tab to speak of. I mean, I didn't even have one in a week, because they always have their happy hour, you know, 5 to 7, or, you know, and complimentary drinks, right? And then the wine and beer and any other soft drinks are all included in your dinner. So we enjoyed a lot of different wines from the area. Every night, something different. And so that was particularly great. My particular ship had something called the captain's table, where a small group got to go each night. They offered it, so small group got to go to have a special dinner with special wine pairing. And it was, you know, a nice sort of 2.5, 3 hour extravaganza. Again, no extra charge. Special chef right there, its own little kitchen, everything right there in a beautiful dining room with floor to ceiling windows. So you could check out the beautiful scenery as we went by and enjoyed the cuisine and wine. So that was, again, it just shows you that value for dollar is definitely there in all of these different cruise lines. You know, partially because of these inclusive services, and partially because of where they go. So in that particular case, you know, it's great for you guys that are the bucket list folk, or you have the map on the wall with the little pins on everywhere you've been and where you want to go. Because the small ship cruise companies are really looking not only for popular and interesting destinations that they may have been visiting for quite some time, but new places and new rivers that, you know, who knew, right? That there would still be rivers for ships to take. I know of one company that's going to start a first-time river, a second river in South America. So you got to figure it's got to be a lot of rivers there, but, you know, you only think in terms of the big rivers. Called the Santa Magdalena coming up. So those port collectors, they've got some new places to try. So it just keeps going and going. So you know, find something, you know, to expand your horizons as far as the world is concerned. Find people that share your common interests. The people on our ship, we all shared a common interest, primarily in the destination. And so we had a lot to talk about. You know, we had something in common immediately when we on board. So then we all became family. I made so many Facebook friends and so many new friends in that period of time. It's as a matter of fact, I got a postcard just yesterday from the ship thanking me for coming. And I think they mailed it out of Budapest at our last port. So that personal, makes you love them. Can't help it. So the explorational part of the small ship cruising really is a hot market right now. There's several new companies that are just opening up or have started, going to fantastic places. Some of them are very luxurious, so you don't have to worry about glamping, because you've got your deluxe everything. The tours and all these things are all included, and it's definitely worth expanding your horizons for that. So there's something new all the time, and don't forget there are departures in the U.S. too. One thinks immediately of the Mississippi. Like I had mentioned earlier, my first experience on the river was on the Mississippi, which is fascinating. Went from, I think, New Orleans to Memphis and learned a tremendous amount about the history of our country and the amount of trade that goes on the river, how much activity is going on, how many things get moved around on the water. And again, the tours are included. We went to the antebellum homes. We went to some of the old battlegrounds, and really experienced the South. But the South is not the only place in the U.S. that offers small ship cruising. So you've got the Mississippi. In the summer months, there's the Ohio River. There are now ships that are sailing in the Great Lakes. So definitely someplace I have a feeling are on a lot of people's bucket list. And then out west, we've got the Snake River, going through Oregon and Washington. So these are places that, you may not have thought about taking. There's even river cruises in Australia, going to places that nobody's heard of, at least from the US. So, Mitch is your guy when it comes to stuff like that, because he keeps up. He does. I've known him for a long time, and he has the vitality and the enthusiasm and the passion about the small ships. A few big ships too, but he's your guy when it comes to being a little bit ahead of you when it comes to these kinds of things. So I'm really happy that you guys are here. And and I'm just going to keep cruising, and I can't wait to try more river cruising and small ship cruising. I'm thinking of going to the Arctic on a small ship one of these days soon. It gives you great ideas. It expands your horizons about places that you never thought maybe you would go to. It's like, back to Cozumel, back to St. Thomas, over and over again. No. We're going to places we've never been to. We're going to places that have fascinating interest, that do not have the diamond store or the emerald store people waiting for you to get off the ship. That you really, are deep in the history as well as the local flavor. So I'm really happy you guys all came, and definitely stick through all of the presentations that are going to be coming up shortly, because the companies that Mitch has curated all have something special to offer. So thanks a lot for being here, and thanks so much, Mitch, for having me.
Craig, stellar. I'm so appreciative that you made time for us today. I thank you so very, very much. And your stories, certainly, you had me with all of your tales, the music, the food, the experience on board, making new friends. There's one other thing I always like to say, is that ocean vessels tend to take us around a country, and a river vessel takes us through the country. And so the ports are beautiful, and I love them. But when you go inside the country and you realize that's where the capitals are, and that's where some of the incredible resources for food and wine and apple cider in the north of France. I mean, just things that you haven't been exposed to. And you're right, opening things up. Just 2 days ago, a brand new Arctic vessel that is run on liquid natural gas made it to the North Pole. They actually showed their compass going cattywampus because there's nowhere for a compass to log into. And so that ship made it to the North Pole. It was their first time, and it was quite a celebration. There are ships going to Antarctica. There are ships going to the Galapagos Islands and to see what Darwin had discovered. There is Patagonia in South America. There are the islands surrounding all of Great Britain, Scotland. You have many, many islands that most people don't even know exist. If you love Scotch, you've got to go to the Isle of Skye. So it's just a beautiful way of going, but there are ocean vessels that will also take you into the ports and harbors that are not crowded.
Yeah.
So you get off and you're not with 15,000 people rushing on and off. You get a little lower key, more chance to just appreciate the community and how much they love you for visiting. It's just a great way to travel. Craig, you're amazing. So happy you're my friend. So happy that you chose to be with us today. This is going to be posted, so anybody that would like to come and see it. Now, I will say, some of you are seeing this on Facebook Live, and we're glad you're here. But if you would like to come to the all-day festivities, please log into this domain, Small Ship Cruising, sscexpo.com, and use the code word VIP, and you'll get in today at no charge. Plus, all of the people who are making their presentations will be recorded today, and you'll be able to come back and visit and view those, or bring a friend back and say, hey, you got to see this presentation. You'll be able to get brochures. You'll be able to see their special opportunities exclusively for enrollees. So please, come on, and we look forward to seeing you at the Small Ship Cruising Expo and having conversations with wonderful people in the cruise world, just like Craig, but these people actually work for the cruise lines, and they can talk to you about any of the specific questions or interests or concerns that you might have. They're here to address them for you. Craig, thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you.
And happy sailing to you, Craig.
You too. Take care now.
Bye.
Bye.